Hello, everyone. Welcome. The world is steadily moving into the quantum acceptance mode. Quantum computing is expected to produce immense results and possibly solutions to unprecedented and long awaited problems, be it drug discovery, innovation in climate, possibly answers to questions beyond our own atmosphere, God particle even. And as quantum computers are being established in strategic locations and investments are trickling in, there is an urgent need for governments and corporates to collaborate. Also, immediate action is on business leaders to establish use cases, find ways to navigate challenges, and infrastructure to prep. Academia, on the other hand, has the mammoth task to upskill and reskill the population for the necessary innovation. To discuss these and much more, we have with us today Dr. Heike Ryle, IBM Fellow Lead Quantum, IBM Research Europe. She has also helped launch IBM's Quantum One in Germany. We also have with us Mr. Sunil Gupta, who's the co-founder and CEO of QNO Labs, where Gupta and his team use the quantum principles to protect the current encryption, making sure that even with the advent of quantum computers, the encryption wouldn't be broken. Glad to have you here on the panel with us. Dr. Heike, let's begin with you.
Thank you. Actually, it's a great pleasure being with you today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the panel with us. Heike, tell us a little bit about the quantum advantage that we are going to see in the next decade, and what exactly is this vis-a-vis the classical computers, and how will it be beneficial for the businesses?
Okay, sure. I'm happy to do. So quantum computing is really a new type of computing where we use the laws of quantum mechanics for computation. So instead of the bits which we use in digital computing, we are using quantum bits. And quantum computing has kind of superpower because it uses entanglement, it uses this superposition and also inference to utilize a much bigger computational space as digital computing. So that's in very short set. And the potential to solve complex problems which classical computers cannot solve is really there for quantum computers. And these are problems, for example, which exponentially increase in complexity. And these are problems which classical computers cannot solve today and will also not be able to solve in the future. And quantum computers, however, they have really the potential to solve them in the future. And this is why we are heavily developing them. And what are those problems, right? And these are problems, for example, which appear in physics, also in chemistry, in the development of materials, and also in optimization problems. And if you look a bit deeper, then you figure out that actually these type of problems you find everywhere in the industry. In all the different industries, you come across these type of problems. And we as physicists and we have learned and engineers how to solve these problems by approximations. But for some of these use cases, the approximations are actually not working well. And this is where we want to apply quantum computers in the future. And some of them are machine learning. This is coming up in many different areas. Also optimization problems like routing problems, how to route ships, how to do traffic routing, also, parcel routing, and all these different things are very complex mathematical problems which quantum computers can solve better. Another big actually area is materials development. Here, materials is actually the core of a lot of industries, and materials innovation brings a lot of market and business potential in the future. And today, developing new materials takes really a long time, but quantum computers can help in making these type of calculations much faster and more energy efficient, and also have a more precise result in the end, which is needed in order to use it.
Got it. Of course, you explained about the materials. What are some of the typical use cases that might come across that the enterprises will be readily able to adopt and make a difference, and it trickles down to the masses as well?
So yes, though, as said, there are these classes of mathematical problems, and one very specific use case I would like to mention is, for example, in battery materials. That's right now a big challenge in improving the batteries and making them longer lasting, making them a higher capacity. that you can drive with the same size of the battery much more kilometers, and that you can also charge it much faster and all these things. And therefore, a lot of insights are needed, which are very difficult to gain by characterization of the materials. But if we can do the calculations of the processes which happen in these batteries accurately, then we understand the battery functions much better. And then we can also come up with better materials. And so that's one area where we work together with companies like Daimler, Exxon, and also Mitsubishi in order to improve batteries. Then manufacturing defect identification is another thing where you can apply machine learning type for defect analysis. Fraud detection in the finance area, for example, is another very important use case for improved machine learning. And here the idea is in machine learning that with quantum computers, we can create much better, the accuracy of the models becomes much better than today. The prediction of chemical properties or of properties of materials is very important. This can be also in the drug discovery, right? How can we identify drugs much faster for personalized medication? In the area of finance, also option pricing. So, you know, there are many different, you can go to many different industries and you find use cases. And what we currently also do together with more than 150 partners, which we have, to look into their specific industry and identify the problems where quantum computers could potentially help. And as I said, there are many of those where we look into with our partners.
Sure. Heike, you mentioned about partners. How important is it to form a network of these kind of partners and companies who are ready to invest and invest their time, their capital, and the skills and the manpower? And what are the advantages typically, and how should one go about forming this kind of networks?
Okay, let me first why I think it's really important to get this network starting and the collaboration. I indicated to it already. Because, you know, we develop the quantum computers, we make them ready for being used and demonstrating the quantum advantage in the future compared to classical systems, that we really demonstrate this in a specific use case, that quantum computers are better than classical computers. And this is very useful to do this also together with partners, because we are the technical experts, and then there are these many different industries where you can apply quantum computers, but you need to understand, also have the industry knowledge, the industry domain expertise to identify the pain points in the industry where it makes sense to use quantum computers. So one is the identification of the pain points, and then with that understanding, is this a problem where quantum computers can help in the future? And this means this collaboration of working together and bringing these technical insights on the table and working together on these problems is really very, very beneficial. And on the other hand, this had the advantage or the benefit that the industry were typically, they are not the experts in quantum computing, right? Oh, there's a new type of computers, but what is it? What I can do with it? It's also they learn from us what are the problems, which are the right ones to go after. They gain expertise, they learn about quantum computing, they learn about how to use quantum computers, how to program quantum computers, how to then in the end solve the problem they want to solve with using quantum computers. And for this, we also do, you know, like a lot of collaboration and support, and also education of the people in the industry, that there is an increased awareness and understanding of what can be done and how to work with quantum computers and use them for solving the problems.
Got it. Got it. What are some of the challenges that the businesses have to navigate, and how should they go about it?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is definitely also that computing is new and the industry does not yet really have a lot of experts on quantum computers and how to use them and for what. So therefore, there is a lot of creation of awareness needed, understanding how quantum computers work, what are they good for, and so there is training and education in the industry that the industries also build up their own expertise in quantum computer, and then also have a team who can look into what is the benefit I can get out, this specific company can get out of quantum computers, how to bring it into the industry workflows. So we are developing also not only the hardware, but the software stack, right? You have to kind of think about, it's like in the semiconductor industry in the early 70s, where the entire software took also many years to develop. We want to do this in a very, very short time frame, that we can make it easy for every software developer to use quantum computers. So we are developing this software stack that people can use quantum computers through the cloud in a very, very easy way, that you may be able to use the same code, the same language, and solving your problems then with quantum computers. And so, but this is now very, very active field. We are working on this very, very heavily. And this is coming, but at the point right now, it's also good if you have certain expertise on quantum computers in your company to understand what can it be used for, and then implement these type of things in your workflow.
Thank you so much for taking time out for the panel, and we were glad to hear your insights on how to make a deep tech destination for the world. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure being with you. Really, thank you very much.
So welcome, Sunil. Welcome to the panel. And with demonetization being catalyst to digital banking and another wave of emerging technology started hitting mainstream adoption, it meant that a new trust platform had to be in works. So Sunil Gupta and team did a quantum jump and went on to an entirely new paradigm called quantum cryptography. Sunil, tell us a little bit more about it and how it will establish a new era in security.
Yeah, thanks Vaishnavi for inviting me to this forum. Yeah, it's interesting times. So actually you use a very right word, demonetization, because we believe that that was a very important, I would say, an event, not politically only in India, but also it meant that because that particular decision meant that India is going to move from a cash-based economy to a digital economy, right? Which means that almost 1 billion people are going to move from using cash to using more online systems, right? And recent Paytm IPO is an evidence for that, right? The company that started in early 20s now, and you see what happened to them, that they've become so big, right? And it's largely because the Indian economy has become digital. And you also see that in the last few years and in the few years to come, we are going to see, it has never happened before. The 6 key technologies are going to converge at the same time. I'm talking about 5G, quantum computing, IoT, AI, and blockchain, right? And if you put robotics also to that mix, it becomes very scary. Because what we are talking about, that we are talking about a hyper-connected digital world. And that hyper-connected digital world is very scary world. While it is very good for the users, but we are talking about no boundaries, no parameter security, applications on cloud, data being accessed on the mobile, smartphones, everywhere, very large bandwidths. And that poses a very significant, I would say, stress, as well as limitation on the current trust systems, right? That is where we thought that we actually conceived or anticipated this world, right? Good world, which we are all looking forward to it. But we believe that there's no digital economy without digital trust, right? And India needs to build that, and world will also do the same. That is where we conceptualize QNU Labs, saying that our vision would be that how do we do world's acceleration towards a quantum safe security? Because what we're talking about, a world where quantum computers are already going to be there, and you have a weak security, weak trust. So just imagine a dichotomy, right? We are talking about a world where you will have a unlimited compute power that can break anything, right? Any encryption. And at the same time, we're talking about a trust that is the lowest level, right? And we thought that we can bridge this gap. And that is what the QNU Lab was all about.
Now, when we come to the topic of quantum cryptography, it's highly advanced. And the technology is finding its ground in India and around the world. How do you view the adoption going forward, and what will it take to the mainstream trickling down of a technology like quantum cryptography?
Very, very important question. I think all of us are are concerned about it. And but let me tell you, Vaishnavi, that 2 years ago, this question was a very big question for us, right? And for a lot of companies in quantum space. But what has happened if in the last 2 years, if you see, we are in quantum computing space itself, we have seen largest amount of investment, venture capital investment that is coming. We have also seen some of the major big breakthroughs that have happened in this in the industry, in this space. And so what we are seeing is one side, and pandemic has led to this, I would say acceleration of quantum computing. Because if you see in 2019, when pandemic hit us bad, the D-Wave, which is a company, they offer quantum computer. They offer their quantum computer to the drug discovery companies to use quantum computers to accelerate the drug discovery. So you can understand the power of quantum computer. Of course, the quantum computer was not powerful enough, but that's the power we'll see in the future. So there's a huge acceleration that has happened in 2 years. And we have also seen in cybersecurity per se, because as the quantum computers becomes accelerate, quantum security will also accelerate, right? So we have seen in the last 2 years a huge change, right? While we have seen on one hand, we are seeing a highly accelerated adoption by Indian defense, right? Indian intelligence agencies and all over the world, but India has also taken a huge jump, I would say. And then we have also, the interesting part is, we have also seen some of the top enterprises come to us proactively and asking us not what is quantum, but saying, hey, we want to use quantum, tell us what are the right use cases, right? We are ready to do pilots, right? And you'll be surprised that some of the customers come to us and say, hey, we want to do pilot and we'll pay you for it. So we are seeing a huge change. And I think today I can tell you, without the customer name, but I can tell you the type of areas where we are implementing cybersecurity. We are doing that in the 5G networks. We are doing in a VPN security, where the people, an enterprise is using a remote workforce is using a VPN, and they're not sure about that the channel. People are talking about Wi-Fi security to be quantum secured. People are talking about their data stored at rest, which is the data stored. They want to make sure that it's quantum encrypted, so the ransomware attacks do not happen, right? And we are also talking about large companies coming to us asking for protecting their digital wallets and mobile wallets from the attacks, right? So enterprises are seeing a huge interest in this area, right? So I think in the next 2 years, we see that it will become a mainstream with large enterprises and the mid-sized enterprises adopting it.
Yeah. So that's an interesting and a positive news, that the enterprises are showing interest, which means there is an aspect of commercialization that is moving ahead in the quantum field. Now, Sunil, you are also someone who hires new talent because of your startup and for QNO Labs. Having said that, what do you see that will bridge the gap between the industry and the academia, and what would you want for successful pathway to quantum career?
So it's a good question. So hiring in a deep tech space is always a challenge. So we actually did some experiments early on. I think eventually what worked for us, which I think is a good model. So if you see the way QNO Lab is, and we took that call very early on, that our core team and the promoters and our I would say the leadership team are with 20-25 years experience, more than that. Right? So they are there with, they have chosen this not as a job, but this is an entrepreneurial stint for them. They're glued to the vision, and they want to make something big out of it, right? So, and then what we did is we got the second set of people who also been the entrepreneurs, right? So who have probably not did very well in their entrepreneurial stage, but they still have the fire and knack in them, or I would say still the interest and hunger to build something successful. So they came together and said, hey, we want to learn a few things from some of you, and then maybe do another startup stint of 4 or 5 years later, right? So that is where our second rung of, I would say, the leadership is. Third one is we created through a lot of young people that we brought in through the two different streams. One through, I would say, interns, because we are into physics side, quantum physics, and so on. So what we did is we brought in some of the top guys from IIT Madras, IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, and because these were, and probably it benefited us because we had a very strong partnership with IIT Madras, because we are in IIT Madras incubating company. So from there, we got some good references, and some of these folks came, and we also had an advantage. We were the only company in this space. So if anybody Googles it today and in intern, good intern, and he wants to work for a in quantum area, they will eventually land up with us. So we brought in some of these smart young guys, and very strong academic background, very strong analytical skills. So they came in and became part of the team, right? Some of them stayed back and continued with us. Some of them went back for higher education. But I think this model of continuously 10, 15 interns, and then where we could take 4 or 5 of them and make them a full-time employee really worked. What we have also done is, if we never believed in headhunters, typically headhunting the folks, because it's very difficult to get good people from the floating people, right? We think that is not a good way to hire. So we have gone ahead and reached out to our people with whom we have worked. So we have used our network to hire people, right? So people have joined us because of the mission, because of the folks that are here. So thus we are able to retain, because in deep tech, what happens, Vaishnavi, is you need at least anybody who's working on should have a horizon of 3 to 4 years. Somebody coming in 1 year and then jumping over to another job doesn't work. So we may be very particular, and our only condition used when we hire people is to evaluate and test whether the person has a stability and focus for the 3 to 4 years to be with us, right? And I think there is a academia and industry gap. We should definitely work, and what we are doing today, we are already tied up with 3 or 4 new universities, right? And we have actually just stitched up a partnership, which we're going to announce soon. Idea is that we are not extending our teams. We are actually believe that there's so many projects that can be easily offshore. We can outsource to these academia universities, and good professors are there, and to their teams, and they can work as an extended team for us, right? So my view is that's the way this whole ecosystem is going to get developed.
Thank you, Sunil. That was really nice of you. And thank you for joining the panel. Thank you for taking time out. And we had some good insights on favorable support for the ecosystem and talent pipeline, and also on the taking over of quantum cryptography in the cybersecurity industry. Thank you so much.
So much. Thank you. Thank you.